So today's video is going to be something just a little bit more fun and different. I haven't done a video about War Thunder for many months, maybe 2-3 years, I'm not sure. I did one last when I bought the Rooikat armored vehicle, the South African one in the game. But what I've actually noticed, and why I just thought maybe let me just do this video today, I've noticed there is not a separate South African tree in War Thunder, but they have in the British part of the tree, they've got a lot of the colonial forces, including South Africa and Australia and India and so on. And South Africa's actually got about 9 different vehicles there. So for those of you who don't know, War Thunder, you might be aware of things like World of Tanks and so on. So World of Tanks is quite a popular tank game. It's a slightly more arcade version of, say, War Thunder. War Thunder is a little bit more realistic in terms of not just the detail really, but the actual mechanics and so on behind the firing and the shooting and the armor and so on. So yeah, it's a little bit more complicated to play possibly, but you've also got lots of different vehicles. So from, you know, army land vehicles to helicopters, ships, and whatever the case is. And you can sort of pick and choose, and you work out experience and train your crews and buy parts and bits and pieces and so on. So really what I wanted to do today was to show you the trees and demo some of the South African vehicles. I'm not going to go into anything detail. I'm not going to be going through any particular game because I'll probably get killed in the first minute. I haven't played for so long. And I'll end off with the Rooivalk attack helicopter from South Africa. It's the one you see on the screen at the moment. And then the video after this, the next one, is going to be going back into some interesting open source software that I plan to cover, and it is sort of related to gaming as well, so it's probably why I also started looking a bit at War Thunder. So I think let's just go and have a look at the trees to show you what's available in War Thunder. So what's obviously important first of all is that you, at the bottom over here, you've got the different countries essentially in each tree. So you'd have a US tree, for example. I'm on Army vehicles at the moment. So you start off obviously low level and you work your way up through the ranks here to, you know, what would be the most advanced here, M1A2, I suppose. Tanks. On the right are some of the premium vehicles which you can just buy outright and start using. But just bear in mind, your problem is going to be if you buy a, what's this, a rank 7 vehicle, because you now you've got a rank 7 vehicle, they're going to chuck you into a rank 7 battle, which means that you're going to be way out of your depth. You're just not going to have the experience and the skill really to sort of fight at that level battle. So, you know, you're going to be whipped and killed within the first minute or two. And the worst is you let down that entire team that's playing on that side. So not always a good idea just to jump into a premium vehicle and jump up above tiers that you've already got to. Rather stick to your tiers, buy the premium vehicles at that level. You can buy a higher level vehicle, but don't really take it out into an actual battle because you're going to let everybody else down. So that's the US one. There's the German tree that you'd follow. You can see I had started some of them already actually. I was busy working my way up there. Each vehicle, of course, has got its specific characteristics. So whether it's fast, slow, the characteristics of its armor, the type of projectiles it can shoot and carry, and so on, each is realistic to the specific vehicle. So, you know, some are good, some are not so good. And it depends what you're matching up against as well. So there's no like real perfect best vehicle, I don't think, because as you move up the tree, you're going to be matched against, like say the Tiger tank here, you're going to be matched against the equivalent American or Russian tanks or whatever the case is. So, you know, it's quite nice. It is about matching and keeping everybody fairly equal. The USSR has got their collection of vehicles. Remembering also when you start off at tier 1, you are going to be working with very basic types of tanks, and the battles are slower and easier to play. So hence, you know, start at the first tier. Well, you have to start at the first tier. There is Great Britain, and as I said, it includes the colonial forces. So I'll come back to that one just now. The Japanese as well. Again, first tier. You know, if you want to look at what the top tier is, it's going to be this medium tank, rank 8. China, you're going to work your way up to, you know, these sort of tanks really. And I think when I start playing one of the demos just now, you'll get an idea of how really good these vehicles actually are. This is the Italian side. That's what you'll be sort of ending off with, really. These are the premium ones, as I said. The French vehicles, Swedish. I'm just showing you the top tier, really, some of them, because these are obviously the more recent, better known vehicles. And oh, I see they've got Israel as well. Okay, interesting. So these will be the Israeli forces, and these are obviously locked to me. I've got to work my way up to them, as I said. And these are some of the premier vehicles. So that is now for the army, and you'll see for Israel it's only got helicopters and aviation. But if you go to something a bit more complete, like say Great Britain, you've got a helicopter tree, fairly basic, not many helicopters. There's an aviation, which is the general aeroplanes, and obviously some of these from the Second World War, many are going to be familiar with. I think there should be, oh, these maybe the heavier bombers, I'm not sure. Oh, no, these are also biplanes. You'll see some, Hellcat, Spitfire, obviously most people are familiar with. The Mustang that the British forces used, Buccaneer. So there's really masses. But remember, this is not really a flight simulator per se, so you're not going to get all the detailed controls. It really is about the battle and the fighting. The Bluewater Fleet is obviously the various ships. And for example, many will be familiar with HMS Belfast, that's moored there in the Thames as a museum ship near the Tower of London and Tower Bridge, that you can actually buy outright and go and play with. And then there's also a coastal fleet, which is going to be these torpedo boats and various other ones. But what I wanted to really cover here today was some of on the military vehicles. So if you go to Great Britain, and I think it'll become clearer when we actually open one of them just now, if you look on the right hand side down here, these are actually all the South African armored vehicles. And you'll also notice if you look here at the flag, for example, I can't hover over it, but if you look, that's the old South African flag. So this was one of the old vehicles. I take it, in other words, meaning it was obviously in use long before 1994 New South Africa flag. Is that one? There's another light tank. I just want to check if I give us the year on these things. I don't see the year anywhere. Also key, of course, is when it comes to tanks especially, is going to be, if you look in the middle of the stats there, turret rotation speed is critically important, because some have got very slow turret speeds, others have got much higher speeds. So that is also what determines a lot of the time in battles whether you're going to be able to line up and fire. Obviously your armor, things, it gives you the spec there for things like your hull, your turret, and your armor penetration at distances. But another critical thing is the reload speed, because it's one thing lining your gun up, but if you can only fire and reload after 8 or 9 or 10 seconds, then that's not going to be very handy. And often the larger the caliber, the longer the reload time. This one, in this case, you'll see there the reloading rate is 3.6 seconds, so it's fairly fast. But its main gun is a 40mm cannon. I think if I've got that correct there. The other ones are the 7.92mm machine guns. So you're firing, the main gun is a 40mm, which is not going to have terrific armor penetration. So this is a light tank, South African, also the old flag there. This is another one. This is a light tank, and this is looking a little bit more like the Rooikat actually. Old flag. You'll see their rotation speed 14 degrees per second, 7.6 seconds reloading time. Another thing, just above that, you'll see it's got things like vertical guidance, the -10 and the 20 degrees. So what that means is that this can depress down to -10 degree angle, and that's important if you're going to be going over hills and things. Can you sort of go over a hill and lean down and shoot, or do you have to expose a lot more of your vehicle to fire? The 20 degrees is the upward angle maximum. So let's just go down a bit. There's the Ratel, which was more actually a troop carrier in South Africa for the border warfare. And you'll see there it's equipped with 7.62mm Browning machine gun and a 90mm cannon. But now you've got to look there, slightly faster rotation speed, 22.7 degrees per second. It's got a -8 depression that it can go down in a plus 15 degree up angle with an 8.7 second reloading rate. It's got fairly good armor that's going to protect you from most lighter weapons. And just of interest there, you'll see that obviously mobility was a big thing in the bush for South Africa. Its maximum speed is 117 kilometers an hour. That's obviously not really necessary in the bush itself, but it does give you an idea of its speed of mobility. Then the Eland was also one of the South African weapons, and I wasn't not sure if this was built on the same chassis as the Ratel, but I think this is the one that carried the G5 cannon, or this is the G6 cannon, okay, 155 millimeter. This cannon used to be able to hit up to about 40 kilometers or so. This is the mobile version of it, and you'll see its turret rotation speed 25.2 degrees per second, which is actually quite fast. Not very good depression at -5 degrees, but you see there's 75 degrees vertical. So that's obviously where it gets its distance from as well, but reloading rate only 19 seconds. So this type of vehicle, obviously it's quite fast, but you want to really stay back a bit with it. You don't want to be too close in a battle with this thing because you can't reload very quickly. And its maximum speed about 93 kilometers an hour. Now here is the Rooikat. They say Olifant Mk2. The Olifant I seem to remember was the tank, but the Rooikat was this mobile version, and this is the one that I actually bought. Turret rotation speed very fast, 38.1 degrees per second, and it's got a -10 depression and a +20 degree upward angle. But reloading rate 8.7 seconds, reasonably fast considering it is a 76 mil. And this cannon actually, with its armor piercing rounds, is able to really actually pierce quite a lot of tanks. Its big thing is its speed actually, and its agility, and not so good on its armor. Armor is actually pretty light. You know, if it's got to go up against other tanks, it's going to get knocked out. One of its big pluses is a scout vehicle. You'll see there's its maximum speed, 134 kilometers an hour. That's incredibly fast. In fact, it's probably one of the fastest in the game. And then we've got the, well, this is actually marked as a Rooikat MTTD light tank. It's also a scout vehicle, and it's actually pretty similar to the previous one. I think the difference could be the gun. This has got 105, yeah, it's 105 millimeter GT7, so it's a bigger cannon. Fast reloading rate at 6.7 seconds, and also 38 degrees per second turret rotation, which is very fast, as well as the speed. So, you know, this is quite a mean vehicle. If you look at the premium version that you pay for, you'll see again 105 mil cannon. It's also got smoke grenades, even faster rotation speed, 63 degrees per second. So this thing is lightning quick. Then I think this is the last one in the South African, I'm going to call it that, the tree under Great Britain, is the medium tank. Now, this was an older one. I see it's got the older South African flag. I seem to think that this could be the Olifant tank. I'm not actually 100% sure. I know our tank was modified off, I think, the UK Centurion tank. I see it's at rank 7. It's also got the 105 millimeter cannon, 34 degree rotation, but speed-wise 79 kilometers an hour, so not as fast as the Rooikat. But I think let's just jump into some of them and see what they look like and feel like, and then we can just finish off quickly with the Rooivalk helicopter. So basically, if you own the vehicle, you can jump in and do a battle. You'll see at the top it's got to battle. But if you don't have that, then you're going to click on the vehicle, and you'll see here you can go to test drive. And for these vehicles, they all have the same range you're going to do test drive on. Let's just bring the sound in, I think. Okay. You can obviously set a few settings. There's a couple of things you can change here to the vehicle if there are options to do it, like camo. Let me just have a check. I think that all looks okay, actually. So this is that original vehicle I mentioned, the first one in the tier. That's going to be a pretty basic vehicle. Okay, and that is actually it. I can just go around it quickly. looks like something from the First World War almost, but I mean, look at the detail on that. You can see all the rust and the shadows and the wear marks and everything on it. And there are the gentlemen that are going to operate it. So it's just, you'll see this as you move your mouse, it basically is aiming the turret. So you've got to use your forward and back and left and right for the vehicle. Picks up speed pretty quickly actually. And we can sort of have a look at it going through the water here. Well, so you see even at this range it's not knocking this tank out. This is quite a light cannon actually. You can actually just watch the gentleman firing. And you can actually see the guy operating the wheel to turn the turret as well on the left hand side. So yeah, this is not really going to probably work very well. And you'll see also there is a bit of a slow reload time. I think this is just too light for these vehicles. It's not a stabilized gun, so you can fire on the move, but that's about it. So that really is that vehicle. I don't think there's much more to show on this one, quite honestly. So that was the first one. The next one is this one with all the little wheels, the light tank. And it doesn't look to me like I can actually play this one. You can look at it, but it's for some reason, yeah, I don't see. Not sure if I'd really want to go out on this thing, to be honest. Okay, let's just go back. I think I might have to research the vehicle if I don't own it maybe, but I don't think I can. I can only research so many vehicles, so let's just see. We can't drive this one either. But you can get a feel for the amount of detail again and what you see on it. So this is the Ratel. I wonder if I can research the Ratel. I need to purchase some vehicles to research the Ratel. Well, that's a pity. That is quite a pity. Let's have a look at the Ratel. Let's do the Ratel 90, I think. We'll see, it's actually mostly a troop carrier, really. Okay, the Eland is going to be the same thing. I'm not going to be able to actually drive this one, but you can see it really is a mobile version of that G6 cannon, really. The driver actually sits down there at the front, the bottom. So this version is the one with the bigger cannon on. The detail is just mind-boggling, really, quite honestly. I mean, look at the sort of the mud and the stuff down under the front there. And you can see right into the suspension and the cables and so on there as well. Okay, the Fox we don't have. The Olifant tank. Let's take that one. Again, in South Africa, you'll see a lot of them are wheeled vehicles because mobility is what really is prized. Okay, we've got... What I'm going to do here is, what I can do is, I do have the Rooikat already that I own, so I can actually take this out on the practice range. There's the test drive. And obviously you can choose, you know, various of the ammo you want to carry as well. So obviously you'll have to get your mix right depending on what battle you're going into, you know, whether you want armor piercing or just rounds, you know, for what do they call it? Percussion, I think, or you can pick your mix there. And yeah, time of day, etc. So let's take out the Rooikat.
Into your vehicles.
Okay, now you'll notice here, obviously, as I'm turning, look how fast that turret turns. The turret is turning almost as fast as I'm turning the mouse, actually. See the rifling inside the barrel? So this is the premium version of the Rooikat. You can even see the suspension springs there under the wheels. Okay, let's take her forward as well. You'll see it's a lot faster. Now one of the differences here is, let's just look at that tank up ahead there, and it'll probably take it out in one shot. Oh, he's very excited. Now watch the gun as we go down here through the water. You'll see this gun stabilizes. So this cannon can really fire on the move as well. But the reload is a bit slower. So this is a much harder hitting cannon, obviously, and if you need to, you can also give out some smoke at the back, or if you need to, you can also fire a grenade. Now we've actually lost our... can't see anything at the moment. Let's try a really far away shot. So this shot, let me just have a check here quickly. If I do a lock on, it's about half a kilometer away. And we can destroy it from here. But listen to the rounds now, the empty cases as they come out after the shooting. Okay, it's loaded. Right, so that is actually the Rooikat.
Aircraft, 12 o'clock, range 2000. Target destroyed.
And you'll see at the bottom left, extreme bottom left, you can see the speed as well, doing 78 already. Oh, I missed that. Yeah, so that's the Rooikat. And we can just have a look down here. Let me just check. That was, both of those are the Rooikat. So the only other one we've got really left is the tank, but I can't now unfortunately take this out on the range there because I don't have the research points, etc. Yeah, it's a pretty chunky thing. So you will also see obviously here some of the others. I think Indian, and here's an Indian vehicle. I think I saw Australian as well here somewhere. I think, not sure, is that Australian flag? Not sure, I think so. So yeah, there's that. So the only other thing I really wanted just to show was the helicopter, and mainly because this was quite new. So just as a matter of interest, we could just check quickly what has the USA got. Well, they'll obviously have the Apache, I suppose. Various versions of it, and I'm not sure what Germany's got. Tiger helicopter looks pretty similar to the Rooivalk actually. The USSR will of course have the Hind, I suppose. What have we got? Japan, China's helicopter, Z10. Italy, France, Sweden, and Israel's helicopter, AH-60. So to come back to the South African one, I can take this for a test flight, and maybe it's because it's actually one of the premium vehicles. The big thing with the Rooivalk was, and we can actually just have a look here, if we right click and go to information, it does give a bit of information about it. This is from their web page actually. And you'll see the Rooivalk was actually based on a Puma helicopter, just heavily modified. Oh, I see they introduced it in the update drone age, because I hadn't seen this before. I was quite amazed. I actually still want to buy this helicopter. Yeah, so maximum speed at a kilometer height is about 310 kilometers an hour. Maximum altitude 6 kilometers. Its big thing actually is its agility. And tactics wise, probably very similar to the American Apache helicopter. You'll see it's also got a hover mode, which is very, very accurate. You can hover just behind a hill for cover and then basically shoot over the top. So yeah, that's basically it. Let's just go back to it. I'm probably not going to be able to fly this terribly well, but we'll give it a shot. Where are we now? Test flight. It drops you basically ready to take off. Oh, I just wanted to check. There's the ammo and so on. So I'm going to say for armored targets for the 20mm. So this 20mm machine gun follows the pilot's helmet basically, or the gunner's helmet should I say. As he turns his head left, right, the cannon lines up and fires exactly where he's looking, really. I think we're only going to have that and the air-to-ground missiles, I think, or these rockets, sorry, the rockets. But we can, obviously, you'd be able to load, you know, various of the other combinations here as well. So I think that is probably good enough. And it's ready to go. All you've got to do really is... You can actually turn this motor on and off, by the way. If I press I, it cuts the engine power. Let me just see quickly here. Here we go. You can actually stop the rotor completely as well. You'll see there the RPMs are actually going down at the moment. But I suppose let's actually take off. So I'm going to engage the motor again. There the revs are picking up and up she goes. It's not in hover mode at the moment. I think the targets are over there. Oh, we can also have a look. Unfortunately, you can't really zoom in from here. There's the cannon underneath. You can see it's busy rotating at the moment. The circular aim point is the cannon. And by the way, if we just rotate around, you can see the shells dropping out actually. How do I get round there now? I'm not too sure. And by the way, this thing rolls right over. So the other mode I mentioned though was actually the hover mode, so you can actually bring her around and just put her into hover mode. Well, you know, you could be doing, say, behind a hill or something. I'm not really hitting much at the moment. My aim's a bit out. I'll have to probably go out of hover mode for the rockets again. Oops. You can also get it to lock onto a target by, say, doing that. And then as you fly past, you can shoot at it, and you'll see the gun actually adjusts itself automatically. I didn't actually adjust that thing quite right, I don't think, but let me just see if I can do it again. Let me just see if I can get it there. Okay, now I can turn away and I can fire, and it'll actually be keeping the cannon trained on the target. Oh, yeah, unless you run out of rounds, it was like that. You can see the gun now actually adjusting itself to stay on target there. Not very easily, but so that basically is the Apache as well. It's quite a fun vehicle. I suppose the big thing is just to get used to what weapons you have to use for what. So, you know, some are going to be air-to-ground rockets, others are air-to-air missiles, others are air-to-ground missiles, and it's really a question of practicing that. Oh, I don't have any rounds. I was going to now fire that at that other aircraft. So yeah, that's really it actually. I thought I would just show this off quickly. I was quite impressed. It's really not something you often see in any particular game actually. First time I've seen the Rooivalk actually in any game. So quite impressed, and proudly made in South Africa. See its flag at the back there by the rear rotor. And then yeah, thanks very much for watching anyway. Just as something fun and different, I thought. And I will be coming back with the next video probably in about a week or two. And as I said, it's going to be open source software for a hardware device. Something that runs only on Windows normally, but this is a Linux adaptation of the same device. And I've been having a tremendous amount of fun with it, learning how to do some of the tricks and so on with it. So I'll quite looking forward to doing that video. But yeah, thanks for watching again, and stay safe out there, and I'll see you in my next video.